What up? What up? Welcome back to another episode of the Bamboo Season Podcast. I'm your host, sober wellness coach, Dorian Wormsley, and this podcast is sponsored by Dorian Wormsley Wellness Coaching Business, built to help you create a strong body and a clear mind. Now, I have an amazing guest today. I'm sure everybody says that. It's an amazing guest, but I met this gentleman about a year ago at a men's panel we were both speaking on, got to hear a little bit of his story, and I know what he does for the community here in Las Vegas. He is the co-founder and VP of King of Jewels LV, the Men's Room LV. He is a father, a mentor, a husband, and also a PhD student. I bring you my man, Sean.
What's up?
Tory.
What's up, man? How you feeling, bro?
I'm living a dream, my man, one day at a time.
Man, that's all we can do, big dog.
Now, like I mentioned earlier, Vegas is pretty small. Once you follow somebody on social media for long enough, you get to realize we all know the same people. And I think I'd already been following you. And then we were speaking on this men's panel last year at Your Bold is Beautiful.
Your Bold is Beautiful, yes, sir.
Women's Empowerment Summit, the first men's panel. And as we were speaking on the panel, me, you, a few other gentlemen sharing our stories, I heard a lot of similarities in your story and mine, as in, growing up without our father in our lives, and that kind of helping us, inspire us to want to help others and be there for our moms and make them proud. Just give me a little bit about, your upbringing, where you're from,
man,
those kind of things.
Yeah, man. So born and raised here in Las Vegas.
True native.
I'm talking about to the point where people can't say the women's hospital.
Wow, that was that.
Oh, man, listen, women, if you were born and raised in Vegas, most of us, I say in the 90s and before, we were born at the women's hospital.
Where's it
The
at?
women's hospital doesn't exist anymore.
It's gone completely, or it's changed something else?
Yeah, I think it's changed to something else. It's right where the Boulevard Mall, like that hospital right over there.
Yeah.
That's where the women's hospital was.
Oh, wow.
So that's where most of us were born. If you know about that, it's like women's hospital, man. And grew. My parents, they were together until I was about 5.
Okay.
And my dad, he's from Athens, Georgia. Came out here for Air Force from the military. And my mom came from Oakland. She's from the town.
Oh, wow, Bay Area.
The Bay Area. So that's why there's the tie. I know we were talking about it offline, but that's why I'm a 49ers fan.
Okay.
My mom used to be, my mom's side of the family, they're Raiders fans, but when Al Davis moved them to LA the first time, she was pretty pissed.
Yeah.
And she was like, nah, we sticking to the Bay. And that's how she became a 49ers fan.
Okay.
So that was that's also relatively enough around Joe Montana time too.
Oh, damn.
So it was like, she's a diehard 49ers fan, right? So there's that. But yeah, when my parents split, that was a rough time because my mom didn't tell my dad really, but me and my mom was homeless for a while.
Really?
Yeah, we was homeless for a while, and
where was he when this happened?
He moved over and had a spot in Summerlin.
Oh, but still here in Nevada.
But still here in Nevada.
Okay.
And at this point, we were cool. Like he was still there at the time.
Yeah.
And then when I think something happened around when I was in 4th or 5th grade, to where they butt heads, and then it's just like me being an adult now, I understand.
Yeah.
But back then, as a hurt kid, as a hurt boy, you don't get it. And then not only that, my dad went through some stuff too.
Yeah.
And I feel like us being adults now, me and my dad were good now, but back then it was rough. It took time for me and my dad to get to where we're at. A lot of therapy on my end, a lot of like, let me take myself out. But then not only that, making some of the same mistakes later. And I'll get to that point. But born and raised here in Las Vegas, I grew up on the north side and west side of Las Vegas. Literally, you can cross the street. Me and my mom was homeless for a little bit. And then my god-grandmother, Martha Wooten, actually embraced us in. Me and my mom had to share our same room together for years. That sucked because then it was like, you go from your parents being together, they own a house together, to going homeless, and now you and your mom got to share a room.
Yeah.
That's a drastic change at a young age. I was very upset. I was angry. I was also in the streets for a little bit as far as like just hanging around the wrong people, doing the stupid shit. And I remember getting to the point where I was doing something I shouldn't have been doing, but I got jumped by cats I thought that I knew we knew around the block. I didn't really know them like that, but ended up jumping me, and I lost 3 of my teeth. So
how old were you this time?
At this time, boy, I was 6th grade.
Okay.
So my permanent teeth was in at that point, right? So my 3 teeth right here are still fake to this day. And that's the consequence that I live with.
Yeah.
Right? Is like messing around, being out in the streets. and hanging with cats that I shouldn't have been hanging with. I remember I lied to my mom. I told my mom the truth years later.
Yeah.
But I remember I was like, man, I fell on my scooter and hit the curb. I said something stupid. I lied. And then I remember she knew what I was doing and stuff like that, but I just never told her until I got older. And I felt bad. And now being an adult, having 3 kids, I feel bad because I put my mom in more debt.
Yeah.
And we was already broke. We was already homeless, but she wasn't going to send me off to school snag-a-tooth. So I got my teeth fixed and all that. But that's pretty much, that's the early phases of Sean Tory. I wasn't confident. My dad, at this point, me and my dad was beefing because for him, and I guess I'll speak on this perspective, him and my mom, my dad didn't really have the male figures to really show him how to be a pops, to be a man in general. He kind of figured it out on his own. He went to the military and all that. Not giving an excuse, but giving you the reality of, I also understand the privileges to what I have, to who I am to be now. The Sean Tory that folks see in the community, I'm mentoring kids. That's because I had men who stepped in at the right time to show me, hey, there's a different way, right? And my dad, his dad didn't claim him.
Damn.
And said, oh, that's not my son, blah, blah, blah. So to have his grandfather live 5 minutes down the road from him in Georgia and not even look him in the face. Like, these are things I find out later on, but then I'm like, damn, I can only imagine being down the street from my grandfather and he don't speak to me, but he speaks to my friend.
Yeah.
And then people at your school in the country saying, oh, you not really a Tory, you not really this, that, and the third, in your face. But this is what my dad endured. So speeding back up to me, when it came to, yo, I'm there for you. I pay child support. I do this. And then you got to deal with a mom who's stubborn. And I love my mama to death, but she's stubborn as hell. I also get it now being somebody who's divorced and has 2 older kids, and I have to co-parent. And that it's not easy. But you make it do what it do. And the one thing I always promise myself, I don't care what their mama does, I'm gonna be there for my kids. But I can say in a test, I do understand why dudes is like, I'm good. Not making it right, but I get why dudes is like, I'm tired of this because it's such a headache.
Yeah.
When you're dealing with people who are still angry, I'd say bitter, but more so angry and they're not happy with themselves in their life. But you could just tell, like when you have a different type of peace when you let shit go.
Yeah.
So I say all that to say because my dad and I wasn't cool from me being in 6th grade all the way till high school and even in college. And shit was rough, bro. But in between that time, got in the streets, fucked up my teeth, got that shit together, but then started playing football and started stepping. And I was stepping for this church. And the dude who taught our church step team, his name was Wale. And he's an alpha. Okay. So this is my first introductory to men of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated, which I became later. I became an alpha later. I ended up becoming an alpha man later, but he was my first introduction at 10 years old. Me and this dude teaching me how to step the basics. And I played football, played basketball, did a little of jiu-jitsu too. Oh, wow. I was just trying to figure out my way. Yeah. But I still didn't have this confidence, right, in me. So by the time I get to high school, I'm lost, but I'm just doing stuff. Like, I'm playing sports. Grades is cool, but I didn't have like a sense of purpose. I didn't really have a drive for anything. I was just doing. Then my sis, shout out to Jaleese, she finally convinced my mom, you need to join the Infis and Divas. So the youth groups. Okay. So the Alphas, Kabbalists, so the Divine Nine have youth groups. Okay. Right? And that's a huge part of Vegas history. So my sister was my god sister was like, yo, you should let Sean join this youth group. It's going to be good for him. We do college tours. We do this. We do that. At first, my mom was like, oh, no, Greek fraternities. He was like, no, he wouldn't be Greek. He would just be in the youth group, but it's guided by men of Alpha Alpha Fraternity Incorporated. She was like, all right, fine, I'll let you go. The best decision she ever did. I was 15 years old, joined the youth group. I'm learning poems. I'm up here like learning different phrases that really shaped the integrity and character of like who I am today. Didn't know it at the time, but it was great. Yeah. So then 15, then I actually get hurt playing football. I broke my ankle, tore 3 ligaments. Actually, I was playing basketball, but I played football. Yeah, damn. And I broke my ankle, tore 3 ligaments, went through rehab, joined the youth group all at the same time. So as I'm joining the youth group, I'm like, man, football isn't the spark that I needed. I actually did football to impress my dad. I wanted my dad to be around because my sophomore year, I did go to live with him. That didn't work out.
Yeah.
For like a semester, it didn't work out. But the youth group is what saved me. And I was like, man, I actually just rather just step. And that's what I ended up doing. It's dropping sports and ended up being in this youth group, going on college tours. And my first trip out the country was to Grand Turks and Caicos at 17 to perform.
Damn.
And Turks and Caicos in Providence. Yeah, bro. It was lit. Like, it was my first time. Like, we get flew out. The news is there. All right, y'all step. Then we're going on the radio the next day. I'm at 17 years old. This is my first exposure. And I'm like, bro, there's more to life than just Vegas. Like, what? Grand Side Beaches? Like, a kid from the west side and north side of Las Vegas? Like, there's actually a life outside of Vegas? Oh, yeah. I'm going to college. I'm going to go out. I'm going to go do something outside of Vegas.
Yeah.
So now speed towards going towards college. So I went to University of Nevada, Reno. I was like, I'm not staying in Vegas.
Yeah.
Went to University of Nevada, Reno. So the homies B. Brandon Marshall was up there. My boy Dean, a bunch of other dudes that are from Vegas, but they went to UNR. And this is my freshman year, and I get introduced to this dude who's like the star quarterback. His name was Colin Kaepernick.
Yeah.
Had no clue where our friendship would go, but he ended up pledging Kappa. Most of my friends are Kappas. And they was like, yo, why don't you come this? I was like, nah, bro. I thought about it. Don't lie. I thought about it. But they was like, nah, man. The Alphas had too much of a stamp on me at that point. Like, they set a standard for me as far as, like, what Greek life looks like. As far as young man, you can still be you, but this just a sharpening of the pen. Like, really trying to make you into the best you, but take it to another level.
Okay.
And this group of brotherhood, and you can still party and do community service and all at the same time. So it was something that was already instilled in me because I was in that youth group. You know what I'm saying? So they respected that I was like, nah, but they wanted me. And I wanted it too at first, but I was like, nah, really, Alpha spoke to me. So they didn't have a chapter at the time. So we created this group called Men of Distinction. And bro, it was me and my guys who just wanted to be Alphas. And we took over the campus, bro. Like, it was crazy. College was a great time. And a lot of competitions. We used to throw and step like that too. End up not getting the charter till later. But I graduated in 2013. But in 2013, I actually have my first daughter.
Okay.
Right? She's pregnant with her my whole senior year. She was born February 25th, 2013. And a couple months later, I graduated. But that week she was born February 25th, that Monday. That Thursday, I flew back home because I had an interview for my master's program because I was going to be a marriage and family therapist. So I flew in Thursday night, interviewed all day long at UNLV with a marriage and family therapy program, flew back to Reno, got accepted the next day. All in 1 week. Yeah, it was great. And then I graduated in May 2013. Proposed to my soon-to-be ex-wife. Didn't know. You know what I'm saying? And that's when life really hit because I graduated. You work so hard for this degree.
Yeah.
But then I'm sitting here. I go right back to working at Macy's Women's Fragrance. And that's a terrible feeling to know you took all these years to do this and then you working at department store. Nothing wrong with it.
Yeah.
But it's like, damn, the reality of you still ain't got enough experience.
Yeah.
And I worked 3 jobs to put myself through school, bro.
Damn.
I worked 3 jobs to get myself through school. And my master's program was rough. I ended up not becoming a marriage and family therapist because what I went through in my master's program, I was not hip to the language of racial microaggressions or beating certain stereotypes or beating perceptions of what black men were. But what I also didn't realize is that the higher you go, the less you see of you. And that's the part that sucked, bro. Like, I'm up here like, bro, I work great. Like, at this point, I said this before on another show, but I went to school full time for my master's program. I had a graduate assistantship at UNLV, and I worked at Child Haven at Graveyard.
Oh, nice.
So this was my schedule. It was terrible, bro. So my schedule, 8 a.m. to 12:30, I was either at Valley High School, West Prep, or Mojave. From 8 a.m. to 12:30, I would go to class from 1 to 3:45. I would see clients because I was trying to become a therapist from 4 to 8. Go home, see my kid, go to work at Child Haven from 10 p.m. to 6 a.m. in the morning. 4 days out the week.
Damn.
That was my schedule.
How long?
That was a year and a half I did that. It was bad to the point I developed sleep apnea, you know what I'm saying? And I still got to get the machine and all that stuff. But yeah, man, but in that time, it was a blessing in disguise because I maximized my time.
Yeah.
I know how to make sure if this is scheduled, I'm going to make sure this is done. What can I get done in between time if I got downtime? I had to keep myself up too, like, because I'm barely getting sleep 4 days out of the week. But yeah, it was rough. It took a toll on my body for sure. But that was my life in my master's program. After the master's program, well, right after I completed my master's program in 2015, right before that, I finally got a full-time job working at Nevada Partners. And in the midst of that, my boy, his name is Nick Matthews.
Yeah, I know Nick.
You know him? Yeah, that's my guy. I've known him since high school.
Yeah.
And he was in the Kappa League. And so he was like, yo, I got an idea. Let's come together and do something. And we just wanted to do a conference. And this is where it's now known as King of Jewels, but before it was called King of Spades.
Okay.
It was called King of Spades because we was like, oh, Vegas, deck of cards, we love spades. We didn't think it was offensive to nobody until we heard from the OGs. It was like, hey, spades is derogatory to black folks. We did not know.
Really? Is it?
It is.
I didn't know that either.
Yeah, spades.
Is it because black folks are known for playing spades?
Nah, it was used as like it was used as bad as saying the N-word.
Really?
Yeah, I didn't know that.
Interesting.
So we got hip to that, and we changed our name.
Yeah,
we went from King of Spades to King of Jewels.
Okay.
But in so I graduated December of 2015 from my master's. Literally 6 months later, we had our first conference for King of Jewels, and 8 years later, we're still running. Right. That's how King of Jewels got started.
And what exactly is King of Jewels?
So King of Jewels is a nonprofit that engages, encourages, and empowers young men to reach their fullest potential, right? And it's not just about a career path, but it's really you as a whole person.
Okay.
Right. And we use like critical mentorship method, restorative justice, circle process. We use different analogies to help black men help themselves identify who they are as black men instead of like the distractions of what society tells them that they are. So that's really what we do, and we give them different opportunities and exposure.
What's the age group?
Age group is really 14 to 18, but
so high school.
Yes, high school, middle school, high school, but we really take 13 to 18.
Okay.
We just say 14 to 18, but we'll take 13-year-olds. Yeah.
Damn. So continue. You said so you started that. It's been going 8 years.
Yeah.
And then
so in the midst of me starting King of Jewels, right? A year into King of Jewels, I'm going through I'm like, me and the ex is not, it's not working. And I went through some stuff that wasn't cool. I guess this be first saying it. I never say it, but you said keep it real, so I'm gonna keep it real.
Hell yeah.
Went through some verbally abusive things.
Yeah.
That folks knew. And at that point, I didn't think it was verbal abuse. I just thought it was what it was. And I kept that in for years. Still don't talk about it much.
Yeah.
I go into therapy about it, but I also, in my own fault, I didn't handle it the best. So stepped out, definitely stepped out emotionally and physically too, and it wasn't the best.
So
yeah.
You're getting verbally abused by your ex-wife, and
not just then, in college too. This
is before you even had your first daughter?
Before we had our first daughter, yeah, man.
And then you had your daughter and you got married, and as you're trying to, progress and do things for your family,
the right thing, real talk.
This continued to happen. Was there anything, because,
and physically too, it came down physically too.
So there's always, obviously two sides of the story, right? If she hears this, whatever, she's going to feel defensive.
She's going to feel mad, for sure.
Do you feel like on your end, is anything you could take accountability for?
Oh, yeah.
That may have,
Yeah, I didn't handle the divorce the best. I honestly should have left before going to someone else to try, like that I trusted to get things, and then I got emotionally attached, and then it went from there. So I take full ownership of not leaving before stepping out. You know what I'm saying? And my thought was, oh, well, shoot, I didn't do nothing physically at first, but emotionally is worse, bro.
It is.
And then emotional, that's what leads into the other stuff.
Yeah. And
that's where I went wrong. So I take full ownership of that, because at the end of the day, it wasn't, that part ain't fair to her, regardless of what she was doing to me.
Yeah.
I knew that still, I could have just left a long time ago. And I did, like in college, I left her twice. And I should have just stayed.
What do you think?
I should have stayed that way.
Before you got to that breaking point of like, hey, I'm done. Like, you want to check out. What do you think kept you in it? Was it the kid? Was it the idea of keeping
Well,
the marriage?
There is a part that I'm not going to say that did happen
I respect that.
to her that happened to my mom that I'm just going to keep out of respect for her still.
Yeah.
That I don't mention. But part of that was like, hey, I get it because my mom went through that too.
Yeah.
But there was this controlling thing that she had that I just didn't. I was like, I don't understand. Like, I submitted to it. I enabled it, and I didn't recognize that until I had to go seek help for myself. And that was the part that was wrong, man. Is where I stayed in it, definitely trying to do the right thing. Also, our daughter. We have 2 daughters now, but definitely trying to do the right thing and making sure we stayed, keep that family unit. But I did. It's not like I didn't love her. I did.
Okay, hold
you know
up.
what I'm saying?
So when did the second daughter come?
Oh, she came in the midst of like as things were bad
Before the divorce.
Yeah. So
okay, I thought you got divorced, the abuse, and you went back. I was like, oh,
hell no, heck no.
Okay.
So like all this was happening, and then she was like, baby, but we were married.
Yeah.
And then it was like that pregnancy was terrible, and on top of like we weren't getting along, and then some stuff happened between us to where I was like, I'm done. So like literally the baby, she was 2 months, and I was like, I'm done. So I filed papers, and I was out.
And the woman you stepped out with, is that who you're with now?
No, hell no.
Oh.
No.
Okay,
No.
so let's circle back to where we were at. So you filed your divorce. You're now back. You're single.
Mm-hmm.
What around year is this? Around what time is this?
This is 27. This is 2018.
Okay, so now King of Jewels is
King of Jewels started 2016. Things were getting bad in 2016. I left February 2017.
Okay.
Officially, I was out. Filed paperwork, so I was done. So all this was happening at that time, and I was communicating, talking to, and it was just bad. And that's the one mistake I feel like I shouldn't have emotionally allowed myself to be involved with anybody else.
And how did you have a wife now, right?
Mm-hmm.
When did you meet her? How'd that come about?
Oh, we knew each other because she was also in the youth group too.
Okay.
She was in the youth group too. And because it's crazy enough because that same youth group, in the midst of King of Jewels also being made, when I came back in 2013, I became an advisor for that youth group, right? And I worked all my way up till I became a director. And then I had to make the choice in 2019, I made the choice to fully go with King of Jewels.
Okay.
So I was doing both at the same time, but they were both different, right? But Lord behold, my wife now, her sister was in the youth group, her younger sister. So I was mentoring her sister. And at this point, I've been 1.5 years out of marriage. She just got divorced. My wife just got divorced. And it was funny because our advisor low-key, her and her advisor low-key like hooked us up, and I didn't know.
Yeah.
And that's how that happened as far as like literally now 2018, February, my advisor was like, yo, you should reach out to Jasmine, blah, blah. Y'all should become, you should try to get her to be an advisor. I'm like, oh, okay. So 2 days later, my wife now, she like all my pictures. And I was like, oh, okay. Oh, let me reach out. Me being so gullible, not thinking. I was like, hey, you should, me and Terrence were just talking about you. You should try to, and at this point I DM slide. I don't DM slide for one. Unless we friends and we just joking, that's it.
Yeah.
But I don't DM slide. But for her, I was like, all right, let's boom, boom, boom. She was like, oh, okay. Anyway, how you doing? I was like, you got me. But I didn't know that she had a conversation with our old advisor.
Yeah.
So then we met February 15th, 2018.
Okay.
And everything changed. We went from friends first because we had like a 4 or 5 hour conversation, and we met at PT's Pub.
That's where it's at, man.
We met at PT's Pub. You know what I'm saying? And things changed. And honestly, it was crazy because when I told my wife everything that happened, she was the first person I fully told everything that would happen.
Yeah.
And she didn't judge me. She cringed because I emotionally cheated, and then it went from there. But she didn't judge me. And like I had to do a lot of therapy because I was like, because not only that, I prided myself on not cheating. So I always thought, just because you didn't do anything physical doesn't mean, you good then.
Mm-hmm.
At first, I was like, all right, cool. But then I realized like, nah, that's not it. So I had to forgive myself. I was mad at myself, bro. I still hard on myself for that because that was something I prided myself on. Because if I'm with you, I'm with you. But then you realize when you get to a low point, if you allow somebody to get you to a low place, you don't know what you're going to do. And this is why now I have no judgment towards people because I know what that's like. I'm not somebody who's habitual. And there's been people who lied on me and said, oh, I was doing this, that, and that. I was like, no, that's not it. Because now you see me with my wife. Now I'm not outside.
Yeah.
I've been the same way. But it's crazy how people try to paint this narrative of you because of what they want you to be.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like, it's cool. You can say whatever you want. Because at that point, I was at my lowest point. And I took all the hits. It was cool, it's whatever, because I knew my truth. And I also knew, like, this is what y'all gonna ride off of? Fine. Because that's what it came down to, too. When I did get divorced, it was a matter of, there had to be something. So that's how she found out and all that. And I was like, well, regardless, I'm still leaving.
Yeah.
So it's not her. And unfortunately, that's a friendship that's no longer around anyway, that person that was there. But it was just unfortunate because it was like, man, I messed that up too, that friendship. But it is what it is. Like, you live and you learn from it, and that's something I had to live with forever.
What do you think?
You know what I'm saying?
What do you think you've learned as a man or husband, father? You've learned from that first marriage?
Oh, yes.
To the one you're with now.
Do not marry out of obligation. Do not marry out of obligation.
So you felt obligated because of the kid?
Partially.
Okay.
Because I did love, don't get it twisted, I did love her.
Yeah.
But a huge part, I know if we didn't have my oldest, we wouldn't have got that far.
Wow.
Because I had things that I was planning on doing. I was going to go to grad school either in Michigan or in Cali. I wasn't going to come back to Vegas.
Yeah.
But everything works out the way it's supposed to.
Yeah.
And then not only that, we went to therapy. So then in college, so we were like, all right, well, maybe we have a shot to work. But then some people, once you put that ring on the finger, things change for some people. And if we tried to do therapy again, and it wasn't in a series, we're showing up late to therapy. Problem was, too, what I learned is when you see red flags, do not ignore them. It only gets worse. Nothing's just going to change. But no, morally, I just think we're not fit. That's real talk what it is.
Yeah.
There was things that I needed to get fixed up, and there was things she needed to get fixed. But it wasn't all on her. And it was a huge part of me because I enabled stuff. I enabled behaviors.
At that point in life, you were what?
I was 24, 25.
So
bro.
young,
I was
man.
young, bro. And
so young.
And like that whole timeline thing, I don't know why people do that. That's some bullshit. Because now, I feel like now being married, I understand marriage for the first time.
Nice.
Wholeheartedly.
What do you think's helped you understand marriage better? Was it because from your story you shared, your parents weren't together, married?
They were.
Oh, they were married?
They were married.
Okay. The whole time?
No. When I was born, they were married together.
Okay.
So they didn't, my dad's one thing about him, he don't believe in having kids out of wedlock.
Oh, wow.
So, but they were married before they even conceived me.
Okay.
So they were married. But you said, what's that question one more time?
So what do you think you helped you learn how to have a healthier marriage now?
Oh, okay.
Because growing up, your dad was out of the picture, not out of the picture, but not with your mom anymore, correct?
Yeah, it's not anymore.
So I don't know if your mom you have a stepdad or anything.
Nah.
So just single.
She's had different men, but I always wondered that too. Like, yo, how come you?
So raised by a single mother, and then obviously just seeing different men.
Yeah.
Did you seeing that? Did you start thinking like, that's what I don't want?
Yeah. Yes.
And you're married. That's why you want the marriage to work so good. You want to have the healthy family.
Yes. So one of the things I did learn was to set your foundation. Make sure your foundation is solid from the beginning. So the good thing about me and Jasmine, she was the first woman, my wife. She was the first woman when we first had that first date. I did not just want to hit. I had a crazy feeling like that said, Sean, don't fuck this up. And I said, okay. And this is not only that, at this time I'm losing friends because this is a year after the divorce. Things is whatever. Folks are still saying whatever. And I was pissed off at God too. So there's another thing. I'm a man of faith, right? I love God. And one of the things that I was in therapy, still going to church though, pissed at. Like, why am I here? And we ain't rocking right now, Jesus. God, we ain't here, but I'm still showing up.
Yeah.
And one of the craziest things, I'm losing friends. I'm not at the best financial state, but I'm building myself back up again. I remember I sat in church this one day by myself, and this is when I was just finding out who Sean Tory was by himself. That's different, right? I went to church and said, God, whoever is meant to be in my life, present them. I did not know what that comes with because that meant friends that I thought would ride with me forever ain't friends no more. But then, what's the crazy thing that happened that day? I prayed that prayer, sitting there listening to the sermon. My wife now texts me saying, hey, I see you at church. I'm like, what you mean? She in the back of? She in the back. And I was like, oh, that's dope. But then something in me told me, pray about that, me and her. So I kept praying, like, and just kept showing me like, this is the move. This is her. And at this point, I stopped dating too. Because I was dating. When I was single, I definitely was having too much fun.
Outside.
I was outside, baby. I was outside when I was single. But it didn't feel like me because it got to the point where, and on top of that, I'm mentoring kids, right?
Yeah.
It got to the point where I'm up here at the First Fam Barbecue, which is Alpha's and AKA's barbecue. I had 2 joints with me. And the kids see this. And they like, oh, Brother Sean single, he outside. And that's when... I didn't make it obvious, outside. But it was like, oh, he outside. And they were like, and they were with me. And it was just like, I was like, oh, I can't set this example on the kids, man. I got to be better. So I had to really move different and I had to check myself. And that's when I was like, I apologize to at that point when I was single, I apologize to every woman that I did wrong. But I kept it real. I was like, listen, I just got divorced. I'm in no means ready to be in a relationship. But I saw me being hurt was hurting other people. And I had to take ownership for that too. You know what I'm saying? And that was a hard pill to swallow. Most of them was like, man, it's cool. I had one that's like, F you, da, da, da. And I had no choice but to take that because look what else I did. I'm just another dude that added to that.
What do you think?
You know what I'm
So
saying?
something you said was, I like that you said was, you met your wife the first time you hung out, whatever, right? You said, you said you didn't want to mess it up. You didn't feel like you wanted to hit the first night or anything like that. What do you think it is that causes that to happen between us men and women? Because I've had that situation before also where I've met a woman and we're getting along and in the very back of my mind, it's like I would, but it's like, don't laugh, bro. It's like in the back of my head, like, yeah, I would if at the right time and opportunity, but like, I'm not like only in it for that. What do you think it is that causes it? Just the right person, right connection, or you as a man being able to turn it off? What do you think?
To be honest with you, and this may sound cliche, but honestly, I think it's a matter of God, bro. I've been with my wife for 6 years. I've been divorced for 8. You know what I'm saying? And my marriage to my wife feels like I'm married for the first time. Because I truly understand what marriage means. I understand that this shit is not easy. I understand, but I also understand what it means to protect my marriage, right? Like, it's, for example, folks know that I'm married, so please, if you ever try to DM me, you will get deleted, and I will not talk to you ever again. Like, because there's a respect that I have for my wife that she has for me, I have for her. There's certain things that's private to us, but I'm not out here like, yeah, this, that, and the third. And it's like, nah, I'm protecting my wife and my household. She's private, I'm private. But it is known that, yo, I'm married. You know what I'm saying? So, I want to make sure I hit back on your question because I lost it a little bit. What was
about, you know, how you said when you first met her?
Yeah.
Your mindset was,
oh yeah, so my mindset
trying to hit that the first time.
So I'm gonna say, yeah, it was all God, bro. That's what I was trying to say. So it was God, bro, because then she's the first woman I've ever been with and actually prayed for her before getting to that point. Like during the friend stage, before I even, so this is during the talking stage, bro.
Yeah.
So before I even asked her to be my girlfriend, I'm praying this. And that's the difference between her and all my other relationships. Because at that point, if it wasn't meant to be, I was willing to accept it. Because at least I prayed about it. And this is the first woman I've ever prayed for. Before I did anything physical, before I did anything to that next level, I prayed about it. And now, of course, there's certain things that, yeah, we definitely did before marriage, you know, whatever. But but I prayed about it. You know what I'm saying? And we were friends first. Like, we talked for 6-7 months before I asked to be my girl.
Oh, wow.
Like, because she was like, oh, we're doing these nice things, but I ain't your girlfriend yet. I was like, it's going to happen. Because I told her the day I asked her to be my girlfriend, she loves it. So I took her to the Paris, the little Eiffel Tower.
Yeah.
I took her to the top. I read a poem to her. And I told her, like, listen, after I ask you this question, I want you to know where I'm headed to. Because once I'm committing to you, I'm committing to you. Like now and even before this ring. Like I'm not going anywhere else. Like this is it. And I'm willing to give another shot at this with you. And she was like, oh, I'm on the same page. And now here we are. Like, you know what I'm saying? 6 years later, we got a daughter together too. You know what I'm saying?
You got 3 girls.
3 girls, bro.
You going for a boy? Get that caravan.
Yeah, man. She we definitely talk about it. It's in the works. Not right now, but it's definitely a plan of like going for it. She wants me to have a son. She got her mini me.
Yeah.
It's like she wants me to have a son for sure. Yeah, man.
I believe what you said earlier, back to the PTs not wanting to hit. I wish more men, I think it's important that men get to a point to where they learn how to turn the horny off.
Yes. Because at some point, man, listen.
Most of my close friends are women. They're homegirls. And it's so annoying sometimes when I tell people, hey, I'm going to Hawaii soon to go visit one of my old roommates and a real good homegirl I've known for 12 years. And when I say it to people sometimes, they oh, just a friend? I'm like, yeah, like I went to Costa Rica and met a friend there who's literally a friend. And I learned years ago to turn that horny off because I would have missed out on some great people.
Same.
If I would have been thinking that mindset, even just relationship, like business-wise. There's attractive people everywhere. But if I would have led with that horniness, like trying to just get on them and this and that, and they turn me down, now they're like, oh, he's a weirdo. He's just trying to, you know, it's like you got to learn how to just
turn that off.
Turn it off, man. You can meet some great people.
You learn a lot about people. Like, this is when I really learned, like, oh, maybe this ain't the best decision to move forward with. No knock to you, but this just ain't it. Right? And there's nothing wrong with that, but sometimes we see something, we want it. And that's it takes a discipline. That's really what it is.
And it's true, because there's times I've met people, women, and you think in the head, I'll just have attraction or whatever. Like, damn, yeah. But then you get longer and longer, you start thinking like, oh, you ain't even that fun as I thought.
That
Hold
part.
on.
Like, yeah, because mentally I'm like, oh, right, never mind.
Yeah, you're not even funny. You're not, oh, you think like that? Oh.
But I'm going to keep it real with you too, bro. I was insecure because growing up, I wasn't that guy. Like later on, I heard like, yo, I never had a problem getting girls if I pursued.
Yeah.
But I wasn't that guy that girls was really wanted. You know what I'm saying? I wasn't in the streets banging. I wasn't doing certain stuff. I wasn't out here hustling or pimping or whatever the case may be. But if I did want to pursue somebody, it wasn't terrible. And if a girl but I did have enough confidence to be like, if she's like, okay, she ain't responding, okay, I'm gonna leave you alone.
Yeah.
Like, that's the common sense to me. Like, yo, bro, if she's not responding or you got to put way more work in, she's just not into you, bro. Period. Let it go. So that part was never hard for me to let go. But I did have an insecurity because I was taught that as a man, you got to go pursue her. But in the same breath, lost value. Never was taught that, hey, women should value you as a man too. Like, you're valuable as well. I was taught to be a gentleman and all these things, but I wasn't taught how scandalous women could be or can be.
Wow.
And that was something me and my mom had a harsh conversation about. Because my mom was like, you need to open doors, you need to be this, you need to make sure you do this. She taught me everything I needed to do, but I had to learn on the back end, like, yo, when you 18, young, most don't want that. They just want to have fun.
Yeah.
There's some who definitely want a relationship, but that's very rare.
Yeah, at that age, 18, 19,
18, 19, 20, even to 25, even to 25, it's not real.
Yeah.
And I wish someone would have told me that early, because I was that young guy who was gullible, who didn't have much experience. And I was right, I'd rather be one girl. But then when I got hurt, I said, fuck it. You know what I'm saying? And I'm glad I learned now that that's just not the way. But God was in none of that. You know, that was just me in the flesh. You know what I'm saying? And as they say, and I'm not someone just to be all religious and spiritual, but I am someone who walks in faith. So I can tell you the real when it comes to that, and like my experience of like I had to learn a lot about myself and see value in me to the point where it was like, listen, I'm not gonna chase you. But I'm willing to let's have a conversation, let's grow. And if we don't vibe, we don't vibe. And I think that's another thing too that we need to have the discussion on. Sometimes, folks, it ain't that he or she ain't shit. It's just y'all don't vibe. And that is okay if y'all just don't vibe. But don't sit here and be like, oh man, this person ain't da da da. Maybe
I'm glad you said that, because that's one thing I've shifted my mindset to when it comes to meeting people in any kind of form or fashion is stop saying they're too much this, not enough that, this and that. She's too picky. He's too, or whatever.
This. No,
it's like that's just who they are.
That's just who they are. Y'all are not meant to be,
and it's okay.
Exactly.
And even for me, because I've been single most of my life. When I do go on, if I go on a date for somebody I met on a dating app or something, I go into it with the mindset of making a genuine connection with somebody. and let them know that, because there's been times where I've met somebody and based off attraction, we might like each other, but then we have conversations and stuff like that. I don't feel that romantic vibe, but we might have the same aspirations and ideas of things you want to do and could become, in a sense, colleagues or just cool people.
Yeah.
And I have a real good homegirl who I met that way, and we would get together, have just like almost like mastermind lunches and inspire each other with different ideas with entrepreneurship.
Right.
Everything doesn't have to be so you ain't right and cut them off.
Exactly. There are women you can have actual friendships with. I have friends who are women that
How do you feel?
friends.
Okay. How do you feel about, man, I had this conversation with somebody I trained more recently about platonic relationships.
It's like
it's
platonic,
real, right?
It's real. Like, so my wife has her best friend. Her name is Nick. My best friend
Nick from
no, not that Nick. Different Nick. And ironically, he's a Kappa too.
Oh, wow.
But I know it's a different Nick that she's been friends with since they was in college and they did teaching stuff together, whatever. But yo, we trust him enough. Like, if push came to shove, if we need a babysitter, he's gonna watch our daughter.
Yeah.
Like, I trust him enough. But me and him had that man talk too, because it was like, yo, what's up, man? But I also have two women best friends. And my wife is all for it. She loves it. And my best friend is also married to her husband, and I'm close with him too.
Yeah.
Right? And because we all been friends for years. And it's just something that it's possible. You just have to have the maturity about it. You also, there's a certain trust you have to have. You know what I'm saying? And I know it's not easy though. That's a fact. But at some point, me and my wife, we good. I know we here.
Yeah.
And I know how her friendship with her friend is. My wife knows how my friendship with my best friends are. It's all good. Cause my best friends, hell, they like, one is a big sis to me. Other I've known since the 5th grade. You know what I'm saying? And it's like, hell no, I don't ever see her attractive. Like, and it's not like she's not, but it's just no. That's
exactly.
sis. You know what I'm saying? Like, I would anybody try to hurt her, I would hurt her. I would hurt them for her. You know what I'm saying? Like, and it's the same way with her best friend. But we're not mature enough to have that conversation. We are. But
there's people out there who don't, and I think it's more so on the women's side. Yeah, I'm gonna get canceled down and shit. But I just feel like they're the ones that think men are incapable of having.
It's true,
and it's shocking to me because I personally feel more, I don't say comfortable, but I'm easier for me to get along with women for the most part. All people I train, the things they want to talk about. I'm not big into. I like sports, but I'm not gonna sit here and talk sports all day with you. Or that's just not my personality. So it's like, to me, the women I talk to and hang out with, they just be on different shit sometimes.
Same.
And not all men are. I don't know, man. Some men are just like, what the fuck you want to talk? I don't know, man. It's just interesting.
It's weird. Yeah, no, trust me. I get it. And I have some friends. They'll ask me, and it's funny. My wife thinks it's funny. Like, like my guy friends. It's a very small crew of us, and we all do King of Jewels together.
Yeah.
Ironically enough, my closest male friends, we all do King of Jewels together. And it's funny because women will be like, "Ooh, what up? Is he single? I'm like, I don't match make. You're gonna have to holler at that on your own if that's what you want, because I don't want no issues if it don't work out.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? And more importantly, they be like, well, why you blocking? I'm like, I'm not blocking. If you want me to tell you he's single, he's single. Or if she is or not, but you got to make that happen. Because at the end of the day, I still want y'all. I want my friends at the end of the day, my associates or whatever. I don't want no issue of being like, oh, this didn't work out. Because some of us ain't mature like that to have that conversation of, hey, this didn't work out. It had nothing to do with the person who introduced us.
I want to circle back to something you said earlier when you were telling your story. You know, you said you and your mother went from a house to homeless to then sharing a bed. As you got older as an adult, when you think back on it, what were some of the wounds you developed during that time period and you had to overcome through therapy?
Oh, man. Having the feeling of that, will I be an absent dad because of the baby mom? And also because I also understand how stubborn my mom is. Yeah. So I can understand. I'm like, I see why. Because I'm like, man, this is what I deal with. And she'd be like, oh my God. I was like, you probably were. I don't know. But what I did realize, this was a hard reality. Me and my mom had a conversation. I was like, I married to you.
Damn.
That hit her in the gut. But me and my mom had real conversations like that. I was like, I'm married to you. Like, you're very controlling, even now. Like, I was like, there's certain things you do that I have to be very stern with you Because I'm a grown man who has his own house, who has his own bills. I take care of my kids. Respect me that I'm a man. I'm always going to be your son, but I'm not a boy no more. There's a certain respect some of our parents don't give us. And there's that complex of some single mothers, not all, some single mothers, you raise them up unintentionally trying to make them the man that you never had. And that's a hard pill to swallow for some. And me and my mom had that hard conversation. And again, that's not all women. That's some. But that's a common thread that us men talk about too.
Yeah.
Yeah, man.
And then what about the wound of with your father not being around?
Because I was like, so now people, they show me love for it because I'm vulnerable.
Yeah.
I don't mind being vulnerable. But back then they was like, oh, you too sensitive. You too sensitive. Especially in the 2000s, bro. Early 2000s, me being like this is, oh, you too sensitive, bro. You too this. But I, to a degree, I was. But I didn't have that male figure until I joined the youth group to not be so hot-headed. I was a slave to my own emotions. I'm better at it now, but it took me time to get there. Like, I don't get as mad easily. It takes over time for me to get mad. And when I get mad, I have to step away for a minute, check myself. All right, I'm good to it. But it took time and maturity to get to that. And that's therapy had a lot to do with how I wasn't a slave to my emotions anymore. You know what I'm saying?
You know, very similar in the sense of, I was homeless. My dad was in my life for about 20 years. Well, even now, so 22 years. But to me, it didn't really hit me that hard until I got older, because where I grew up, everybody else was around was the same.
Yeah.
Everybody else was pretty much raised by a single mother, Hispanics, blacks, and everybody's on food stamps.
Yeah.
Everybody's on welfare. So I never really saw it as I didn't have a dad as much. Till I got older, and then I mentioned this before in a previous podcast, that when him not being around was something I used like, all right, I'm about to make sure some point in this lifetime you're going to hear my name and be like, oh shit.
Oh shit. I felt that way at first too, but when I got divorced, it actually opened up a perspective to where me and my dad actually understood each other for the first time. And my dad, to this day, he tells me he's proud. He's like, you handled things way different than I did. But I also told him, I was like, Pop, the difference between me and you were born in the 60s. And then you became a young man in the 80s. They were not talking about mental health therapy around that time. You were fighting crack, AIDS. It was different back in his time. So I have more empathy now because I had to get to a place. I had to stop being selfish in my own feelings as far as the hurt that I experienced for not just my dad, but my mom too.
Yeah.
They did the best that they could. And I've accepted that. That doesn't mean I don't have my boundaries for stuff, but I accept my parents for who they are because I finally look at them outside of just being my mom and dad, because now I'm in that same position where I have to co-parent.
All right, let me ask you this question. Almost like a sense of advice from you to me is like, because I'm trying to get to a point I'm on the fence actually, to where I obviously want to mend the relationship with my father at some point. Don't know how, don't know what. I've tried many times to text, and he's done some shit, right?
Man.
So I'm trying to get how you talked about. You said, there was a point where y'all weren't good.
Yeah, we were.
But now you're a grown man. You got your kids. You got your family. You guys are able to have that respect factor, and that relationship.
Me and my dad are close now.
What would you advise somebody like me, who's trying to get to that point? And do you think there's a point where you kind of just be like, you know what?
Yes,
I've done what I could, and I'm gonna go this way.
Yes, because one thing I'll advise you, go to therapy about it. I did a 2-month therapy. I went to therapy for a long time when I got divorced. I spent 2 months talking about my dad. And in that midst, my therapist, and not only just my dad, but my mentor, his name is Joshua Gilliquay. Huge shout out to you, big bro. He told me years ago.
You said Gilliquay?
Gilliquay.
Nigerian.
Yes, he is. He told me years ago, hey man, you and your pops need to make that right. I don't know how, but there's more that you didn't know. So when I went to therapy, my therapist asked this one question. And this is when I mentioned earlier about, have you ever thought about the things that you have that your dad didn't? I was like, what you mean? She's like, you were in a youth group, you did this, you got this. You're much more further, and you've exceeded expectations that your dad has said that that your parents did not expect for you. But you had something your father didn't. You had mentors around outside of the family. Have you ever thought what it would be like for you to take your emotions out and see what it was like for him to go through. Doesn't make what he did was right or wrong. Same thing with your mom. But understand for where they were and what you didn't. So once she said that to me, I said, okay, let me think about this. So the more me and my dad at this point, we're trying to amend something, I was able to be like, my dad is human. Let me humanize him he's a man just like me. But I also understand the privileges I had. I had somebody, Josh, at 15 years old come in my life, and I'm 34 now, almost 20 years, he's still in my life. He's been a big brother to me. And he's married, has kids, a lawyer and a real estate. He owns his own. He's a big time crazy dude. Went to MBA, got his law degree and MBA at the same time. I had an example to where even though we weren't blood, but I had that void filled. My dad didn't. He had his big cousin. His name is Donald, but he didn't have that. So I can only imagine what my dad had to walk through from the 80s to the 90s to the 2000s, and not addressing some emotional stuff, because now you're 50 something, close to be at 60, and you still haven't addressed certain things. But in therapy, it was hard to learn that I had to let certain things go for me to grow and be the father I needed to be. That's how you break generational curses. And there's things I'm not perfect on, but one thing's for sure, I will not be able to turn up for my kids, but I'm gonna make your ass work. Like, you don't think you getting this shit easy.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? Like, you want this, you gonna earn it. And I don't believe in buying my kids J's until they in high school. And even then, you still gotta earn that shit. You wearing Chucks and Vans. Chucks, Vans, and some night you'll wear some Nike Air Maxes, but I ain't buying you no Jordans. Your feet ain't done growing. But anywho, I still feel like you gotta have a little struggle.
Yeah.
Just a little bit.
You do.
You gotta have a little struggle. So those are the things that got me to the point to forgive my dad. And it was Josh too being like, yo, be mindful. You gotta make that right. So when I finally got to the point where I looked at my dad outside of just being my dad, I looked at him as a man. I was like, okay, I can understand, man. Because at the end of the day, there were some other things that happened too. But if I didn't have to work 3 jobs in undergrad, work the graveyard shift, I wouldn't have understood what work ethic was like for myself and fully be on my own. Now, it definitely would have been a lot easier if I got some help.
Yeah.
But I understand all the things I had to do on my own, it made me to who I am now. So it's fine. It served its purpose, and I've accepted it. But there were some things, I think what really got me and my dad close is when he had COVID and he was on the brink. It was close to death for my dad. That's when me and my dad got close. And we started really opening up about stuff and going back and forth and really talking about stuff and amending some things. And he came to my wedding. He came to my first wedding too, but he left early. But he came to my second wedding and he spoke. And my dad don't speak. And when he spoke at the wedding, it was like a pin drop. It was silent. And he was just so proud. And he loves my wife. And he's there for his grandkids. So I'm good with that. But it's not a fairy tale.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? It's just what it is. We had the chance and it happened to work out. Now, I also, before me and the COVID thing happened, a couple years prior, I was like, hey, Pop, I love you, man. I'm here for whenever you need. He still was kind of like, nah. But I've accepted at that point, it wasn't on me. You know what I'm saying? And I tried. It's not like I didn't try. But around that time, when he caught COVID and stuff, now he started trying. So I started seeing a difference in him. But I also had to let go of that expectation of people trying to pick me. Because my whole life, everyone picked everything else. I was always the afterthought. But until I decided to pick myself, that's when things changed. And that's something that got me to this trajectory of healing and giving grace to him, my mom. I accept them for who they are. I don't expect them to do anything more or less. You know what I'm saying? But I don't put that much expectation on people. You get what I mean? So I think that's what makes things easier for me. So that's what I would tell you, bro, is get to a point where it's not fully 100%, but you're healed enough to the point it don't affect you, but also know you've extended the door. And once it's not on you, it's not on you. And regardless of what your pops decides, you have to accept that. And I accepted it too, because for the longest, I didn't think me and my dad was going to be cool the way we are now. I accepted that, okay, when I see you is when I see you. But it's all love my way. And I was patient, but I was patient enough to be like, hey, the door is open. That wasn't easy either.
Yeah, I'm thinking about how to go to therapy for it because in my head, I don't feel upset at it. I'm okay going through a life
Yeah.
without him ever coming around again.
Yeah.
But part of it's almost like petty. Like, why do you deserve to be?
Yeah, and that's the hard part.
You know what I mean? Like, I'm
you
not
got to
gonna
be the
give
bigger
you that.
person.
Exactly.
You have to. And I
I'd be
promise
like,
you,
oh,
I feel you, but I promise you, it's gonna be much better for you in the long run being the bigger person. And sometimes my wife don't understand that. She's like, I don't get it. How are you able to? I was like, 'cause listen, I'm at peace. It takes more work to be petty and mad at somebody than it is to be like, you know what, you hurt me. I fully acknowledge that. I say what it is, but I'm gonna that's on you now. I'm not gonna hold that shit in no more. So when I see people who done me wrong or talk shit or did whatever, I'm like, it's cool. You gotta live with that. I don't gotta live with that because I know I know who I am. I've accepted it. I owned my mistakes. I'm sorry for the mistakes I've made. It is what it is. But moving forward, I'm gonna make sure I move with integrity. So that's when I mentor these young men and these young women. That's what I tell them. I'm like, yo, you gonna go through some shit. You gonna think that you making the best decision at the time, and you come to find out that shit smacks you in the face and it wasn't the best decision. But whatever decision you made, you gotta stand on it. And that doesn't mean it doesn't hurt. You know what I mean? Stand on business. You gotta stand on it. And like, promise you, there's not a day that goes by that there's some decisions I made. I'm like, man, I wish I would have made a better decision. But I can't go back in the past. I can't dwell on it. So I'm going to make sure today, and I'm going to make that best decision. And I'm not going to be tempted by anything, right? So the more you do that, the more you conscious about that. I'm not better than nobody, bro. But you know what keeps me chill and humble? In 2017, people were talking a lot of shit about me, bro. From 2017 to about 2019, they were talking shit about me, bro. There's people in my face today who be like, oh, hey, Sean. And I'm like, what's going on? I'm not being fake, but I ain't forget.
Yeah.
You know what I'm saying? I ain't forget, but it's all cool because at the end of the day, I don't have to live with that. But I'm going to treat you how I always wanted to be treated. I'm going to treat folks with love, but I'm going to treat, regardless if you rock with me or not, you don't have to speak to me. That's fine. I don't have no beef with nobody. And that's just how I've always moved. And I've been in peace, bro. And that's why I say that to you. Like, definitely.
That's good.
Definitely do that, bro.
What as we wrap up here, I'm ask you a question for, help inspire some people. What is a quote you live by and why?
This is I got this tattooed on my chest at 18 years old. It's called Follow Your Bliss. So there's a great philosopher by the name of Joseph Campbell. And shout out to Mrs. Montalvo, who was my 11th grade modern lit teacher. And then senior year, I took her mythology class. So Follow Your Bliss comes from Joseph Campbell. If anybody knows Joseph Campbell, he was one of the best philosophers in the world. He passed away in the 80s. And he was also the professor to George Lucas. And if you know who George Lucas is, he's the creator of Star Wars. So Joseph Campbell taught George Lucas everything he knows about mythology. That's why Star Wars is so dope, because he used those stories and recreated it, repurposed it, and made this whole Star Wars universe. But follow your bliss means follow your innermost passion. It's something that money can't buy. You'll do it for free, that you just genuinely love. And when you have that much love for something, you turn it to compassion. And do you know what the COM stands for in compassion?
What?
It means community. So you love it that much that you don't just do it for yourself. You do it for everybody. And I figured at 18, at really 17, when she introduced me, I knew helping folks, helping youth was me. That was my purpose, but that's not all that I live for. I live for my kids and my wife. I live serving. That's what I live for. Like, I love it. You know what I'm saying? Taking care of myself, do what I got to do. You know what I'm saying? But I reached a point in my life I'm at peace. You know what I'm saying? But follow your bliss. That's the quote that I got for you, bro.
I love that, man. Thank you so much for sharing. Thank you for coming on, being open about your life, your experiences. You have a ton of gems to share with the world. I see all the stuff you're doing on Instagram. I'm going to tag your nonprofit, your Instagram, all on, the description of this podcast. And we got to get you back on, having more deeper conversations.
Oh, for sure.
I think conversations like this are meant to be had. It shouldn't always be gossip and the latest news. It should be real shit that people are going through and sharing real stories. So thank you again, Sean, for making the time. Bro. I appreciate you. Thank you guys for tuning in to the Bamboo Season podcast. I'm going to piggyback off what he said about serving others. I'm telling you right now, if you really want to feel fulfilled, you want to feel inspired, go help somebody. Go serve. Go volunteer. Join his youth program, helping the kids. When you help others, you truly help yourself. 2 words, keep growing.